Welcome to VersAccounts. One of the most important administrative tasks you undertake in your business is accurately billing your customer for the services or goods you provided and then receiving the funds. Raising a sales invoice in VersAccounts couldn't be easier. You simply go to the Invoices tab on the main menu and click on New Invoice. When the Create an Invoice option appears, you can select a customer from a list or simply begin typing the first few letters of the customer's name and then select. You can choose the invoice date, and the payment terms will default to those set up for that customer. You can determine where you want to ship the goods. In most cases it will be the same as the invoice party, but you could ship them to another warehouse. And then you can fill in additional customer details such as a customer PO, some internal reference detail, the currency, and so on. By default, you see the warehouse from which you would ship goods to that customer, and then various other sort criteria that you may wish to use to more fully understand elements of your business. Finally, you can choose the invoice template that you wish to use with that customer based on the format that your customer prefers to receive their invoices. When you've got the header information right, you can simply click on Create Invoice. You can then begin to enter the individual line items related to this invoice. So you can begin, as in other parts of VersAccounts, by typing in the first few characters of a product or service that you wish to provide. Many times, however, you'll wish to create the invoice based on a shipment that you've already made to this customer for goods that would have been ordered through a sales order process. In this situation, you can simply click on the individual shipment that's already made that you wish to include, and you'll see the remainder of the line item automatically populates. It's also worth pointing out that while we generated this particular invoice based on shipments that taken place, we could have created the invoice based on just the sales order. That might be where the sales order was for a service item that didn't actually relate to the shipment of items, or it could have been a situation where a sales order had been raised but the customer had agreed to pay before the goods were shipped. Also, an option is to be able to link the particular invoice to a project that you are undertaking. In this case, we are shipping goods or billing Skyline, and therefore we can link this to the hotel refurbishment project at Skyline. When you're comfortable that you have the details for the line item right, you simply create the line item, and if you scroll up, you can see there is the header and there is the line item populated with the information from the shipment notification. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can choose to post the invoice at this point. Before we do that, we're going to print it, or we're going to check it for accuracy. You can see that in VersAccounts there's a very nice template system where you can determine the exact look and feel of the individual invoices that you provide to your customers, including your own logo here, who you're invoicing to, where you're shipping to, and where the customer should send the money, with all the line item details, the tax, and so on. And it's totally down to you to determine what format you want based on the formats that your individual customers prefer, and you can do that by customer. We will close that down for now. We could post and print. We're simply going to post this invoice to the system. Do we want to confirm that? Yes, we do. So we click OK, and the invoice is posted to the system. Now it's time to process the customer payment. Couldn't be easier. We simply go to Invoices, Receive Payment. We choose which bank account the funds are going to be posted to. We select the date, Should it be a currency amount, we would have selected the currency and the appropriate exchange rate, but that's not appropriate here or applicable here. We choose the customer that's paid. Maybe they paid us by wire transfer just to have speeded the process up. We enter the reference that we received and we choose the invoices that the customer has paid. Now you'll notice that we select the invoices that the customer has paid, and that defaults to the total amount that those invoices are for. This customer, however, may have chosen to have withheld payment for one of the line items because the goods were in dispute or they hadn't been delivered on time or for some other reason. And you can simply uncheck a particular line item and the total amount updates. As soon as it matches what the customer has paid, you post the payment receipt for the amounts that have been paid for the items that the customer has covered. And that's it. As simple as that, posting a payment to your customer account. And that concludes the demonstration on raising a sales invoice and receiving a payment from a customer.